Have you ever wondered what really happens the moment you take your last breath? Not the stories we've been told, not the myths of pearly gates or fiery punishments, but the raw, unspeakable truth, what your soul experiences the moment it leaves your body. That singular breath, that blink between here and the unknown, could it be the most important moment of your entire existence? Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, once said, "What you resist persists." And nowhere is that truer than in our relationship with death. We spend our lives pretending it doesn't exist, tucking it away beneath distractions, routines, ambitions. But deep down, something in us remembers a whisper, a feeling that death is not an end, but a threshold. Across centuries and continents, from the ancient lamas of Tibet to modern quantum physicists, there has been one persistent question. What if death is not the great unknown, but the greatest mirror? Today, we're not here to talk about beliefs. We're here to walk through a forbidden door, one sealed for over 1,200 years. And behind it lies a manuscript, a text so powerful, so unsettling, that it was hidden from the public eye for generations. The Tibetan Book of the Dead. But this is not a religious tale. It's not a fairy tale. It's a psychological map, a spiritual technology, a detailed account of what happens during the 49 days after death when your consciousness is no longer tethered to the body but hasn't yet moved on. Why 49 days? Because the Tibetans and increasingly modern neuroscience suggest that consciousness doesn't simply vanish. In fact, it becomes more aware, more vivid, more reactive. In those 49 days, you don't just die. You encounter yourself, not the self the world knew, but the one behind the mask, the one that's always been watching. Let me be clear. What you're about to hear has been called dangerous, not because it's violent or offensive, but because it's liberating. Because once you see death not as a punishment, but as a test, a mirror, a final chance to wake up, you can't go back to living blindly. And that's exactly what this ancient manuscript dares to show us, that death is not an ending, but an initiation. Just imagine, you die. But instead of darkness, you're met with light, so bright, so pure, it threatens to dissolve every boundary you've ever known. This is what the Tibetans called the clear light of reality. And in that instant, if you can recognize it, if you can surrender to it without fear, you are free. Free from karma, free from rebirth, free from the endless turning of the wheel. But here's the tragedy. Almost no one does. Because instead of surrendering, we panic, we cling. We look for what's familiar, our name, our loved ones, our unfinished stories. And in doing so, we miss it. We fall back into the illusion, and the cycle begins again. You see, this isn't just about what happens after death. It's about what happens right now. Because the very same illusions that trap the soul in the afterlife are the ones blinding us in life. Fear, desire, attachment, regret. We carry them like weights, and when death comes, we don't know how to let go. Albert Einstein once said, "Reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one." But the Tibetans took it one step further. They taught that the afterlife is that illusion, magnified, intensified, shaped by the exact thoughts and emotions you carry at the moment of death. If your mind is clouded by fear, that's what you'll see. If it's steeped in guilt or longing, that's what will echo around you. Not punishment, just reflection. And so the 49 days become a test, not of morality, but of awareness. Now you may wonder, why haven't we heard more about this? Why was this knowledge hidden? Because it dismantles power. If there's no external judge, only your own consciousness, then no religion, no institution, no authority can claim control over your fate. And that, my friend, is terrifying to systems built on fear. But to the soul, it's the ultimate liberation. Throughout this journey, you'll discover more than a manuscript. You'll begin to remember a truth your soul has always known, that death is not something to be feared, but something to be understood. That every nightmare within the Bardo is not real until you believe it is, and that every moment of peace, of clarity, of release is available to you, not someday, but now. Because the Bardo is not just a realm you enter after death. It's a realm you carry inside you every day. So the real question isn't what happens after you die. It's, are you already asleep in the illusion, or are you ready to wake up before it's too late? This is not just a video. It's an invitation, an initiation. And if you stay with me through the end, you will see why so many fear this knowledge and why the awakened few treasure it like gold. Now take a breath. not to move forward, but to arrive fully, deeply right here. Because what you're about to witness has the power to change how you live by revealing what truly happens when you die. Let us begin. What if everything we think we know about death is wrong? We've been raised to believe in one of two stories. Either that death is the grand nothingness, the lights go out, the body decays, and that's the end, or that we're judged by a distant divine figure who sends us to heaven or hell based on our behavior. But what if neither is true? What if the moment of death isn't a closing curtain, but the opening of a door we've long forgotten? That's not just a poetic metaphor. It's the central claim of a tradition far older than Western religion and far more precise than abstract philosophy. A tradition that speaks of death not as a mystery, but as a map, a step-by-step unfolding of consciousness in the hours, days, and weeks after the body dies. This map is known as the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or Bardo, and it's not a religious scripture in the way we typically think of holy books. It's more like a manual, a guidebook written to be read aloud to the dying and the dead by monks, family members, or anyone who dared accompany a soul through the perilous journey of the in-between. But here's the most shocking part. According to this ancient manuscript, death doesn't reveal something new. It only amplifies what was already there. Let that sink in for a moment. All the fears we carry, the attachments we hide, the regrets we bury, the illusions we refuse to see. These don't vanish at death. They become our surroundings, our reality, our test. And suddenly a terrifying question emerges. Are we already shaping our afterlife now, through the way we live, think, and believe? Carl Jung spent his entire life trying to map the inner terrain of the human psyche. In his exploration of the collective unconscious, he suggested that our minds are not isolated, but connected to a deep reservoir of symbols, fears, archetypes, and timeless truths. Death, in Jung's view, was not an erasure, but a transition into the full field of consciousness. And if that's true, then everything we refuse to face in life becomes what we're forced to face in death. So what happens when we don't prepare? The Tibetans believe that after death, the soul enters a transitional realm known as the Bardo, a space where thoughts become reality, where emotions become environments, where clarity becomes freedom and confusion becomes imprisonment. Imagine entering a dream, but not knowing you're dreaming. Imagine being surrounded by strange sights and figures, some beautiful, some terrifying, and believing all of them to be real. That is the condition of most souls according to the Book of the Dead. And it's not because they were bad people, it's because they were unaware, distracted, untrained. And that leads us to the deeper question that haunts this entire journey. If awareness is the key to navigating death, why do we live our lives so unconsciously? It's a brutal irony. We train for exams, we prepare for retirement, we plan weddings, births, even funerals. But when it comes to the moment that defines everything, our death, we're utterly unprepared. We treat it like a taboo, an inconvenience, something that happens to others until it happens to us. And by then, it may be too late. Ancient texts like the Bardo weren't written to comfort the grieving. They were designed to awaken the living, to teach us that every single moment of consciousness now is shaping the mirror we will soon face. And that mirror, it doesn't reflect your face. It reflects your soul. Modern neuroscience is starting to catch up. Studies in near-death experiences, NDEs, have revealed remarkable similarities to what the Tibetans described centuries ago. Visions of radiant light, encounters with past memories, and the overwhelming sense of being more alive after death than in life. Dr. Pim van Lommel, a Dutch cardiologist, documented patients whose hearts had stopped for minutes, yet who returned with vivid, transformative experiences. These weren't hallucinations. These were structured journeys filled with review, reckoning, and often clarity. So again, we must ask, if the way we live determines how we die, how should we be living? The answer is not as simple as being good or spiritual. In fact, many people who consider themselves moral or religious may still be entirely unprepared. Why? Because the afterlife, according to these teachings, doesn't reward behavior. It rewards awareness. And awareness is not something you can fake. It's a muscle, one that must be trained, stretched, and strengthened, not in temples, not in mountaintop monasteries, but in the messy, chaotic, intimate moments of daily life. In the way we respond to pain, in the way we resist the truth, in the way we grasp, fear, react, deny, because those are the habits that will define the mind at the moment of death. Jung wrote extensively about individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the unconscious shadow. He believed that most suffering stems not from evil, but from avoidance, from the refusal to face the darker parts of the self. And he warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What the Tibetan Book of the Dead proposes is an even more staggering version of this idea, that the unconscious becomes your fate, not just in life, but in death. So again, we ask, what is it that we're not facing now that may become the prison of our afterlife? Could it be the unspoken grief we carry, the guilt we never release, the identities we cling to so tightly, even when they no longer serve us? The soul, they say, doesn't seek comfort in truth. It seeks familiarity, even if that familiarity is painful. And that's what traps us. That's what binds us to cycle after cycle of birth and death. Not because we're being punished, but because we choose the known over the unknown. So maybe, just maybe, the real question is not what happens when I die, but rather, am I ready to meet myself without the mask? Because that's what the Bardo is. Not a purgatory, not a punishment, but a mirror. And if that mirror showed up today, right now, what would you see? That is the question we'll carry with us now as we step into the first stage of the after-death journey. A stage where the soul must confront the most blinding light imaginable, a moment of absolute truth, a moment that few recognize and fewer survive. Take a breath, because next, we face the clear light. There is a reason the Tibetans counted 49 days, not 7, not 30, not 100. For them, this was not a symbolic number. It was precise, measured, observed through lifetimes of meditative clarity, and passed down through an unbroken lineage of spiritual masters who claim to witness what most of us deny, the consciousness beyond death. According to the Bardo Thodol, or Tibetan Book of the Dead, the soul does not instantly vanish. It enters a series of intermediate states called bardos, and the most critical of these unfolds over 49 days, the time it takes for the soul to complete its journey between lifetimes. But here's the astonishing part. This process is not linear like time on Earth. It's experiential, subjective. A soul may feel that centuries have passed or that no time has passed at all. And what determines that experience? The state of mind at the moment of death. Let that settle in. Because that's where Carl Jung re-enters the picture, not as a mystic, but as a man who dared to explore the invisible architecture of the psyche. Jung believed that at the moment of death, the conscious ego dissolves, and what remains is the totality of the unconscious, the archetypes, the shadow, the self. And unless we have spent our lives integrating these parts, death will confront us with them in their most raw, unfiltered form. This echoes exactly what the Tibetans warned of. They say that the moment you die, you are met not with angels or flames, but with a blinding, radiant light called the clear light of reality. This is the pure, undivided truth of existence. It is neither good nor bad, it simply is. And for those who are prepared, who can surrender to it without fear, it offers immediate liberation from the cycle of rebirth. But here's the tragedy. Most of us turn away. Why? Because we've spent our lives fearing surrender, clinging to identity, needing names, stories, bodies, boundaries. And so when that light appears, it overwhelms us. We recoil. And the moment we do, the illusions begin. The Tibetans describe it as a cascade. The clear light fades, and lesser lights begin to emerge, reflections of our desires, beliefs, and unresolved karma. At first, we may see familiar faces, deceased loved ones, places we long for, figures from our faith tradition, but none of it is real in the material sense. It's all a projection of our own consciousness, trying to make sense of the unknown. Carl Jung called this the autonomous psychic reality, the inner world projecting itself outward when the ego is no longer anchoring perception. His patience in near-death experiences is often described visions eerily similar to those in the Bardo. Tunnels of light, life reviews, symbolic figures offering guidance or judgment. Jung suggested these were archetypal energies emerging from the collective unconscious. But here's the chilling insight. They're not there to help you unless you know what they are. Because if you believe they are real external beings, if you follow them blindly, you fall deeper into the illusion. Just like in dreams, where the mind creates entire worlds, landscapes, even people. And if you don't realize you're dreaming, you become a prisoner of your own story. That's what the Bardo is. A lucid dream without a body, a realm where every thought becomes form, every emotion becomes environment. And for 49 days, the soul is tested, not by some external judge, but by the very content of its own mind. Let's break it down. Week 1, the disorientation. The soul doesn't immediately know it has died. It lingers, watches, tries to speak to loved ones, tries to return home, but no one sees, no one responds. There's confusion, then grief, then panic. This is where the mind begins to search for meaning, and in that search it begins to project. This is the phase where the clear light fades and the illusions take root. Week 2 to 3, the radiant visions. Peaceful, luminous beings begin to appear, beings that seem angelic, divine, or familiar. In truth, they are manifestations of your higher mind, your potential for awakening. If recognized as such, you can merge with them and attain liberation. But if you hesitate, if you seek comfort instead of clarity, they begin to shift. Faces distort, light dims. Voices turn to whispers of doubt, and that's when the terrifying figures arrive. Week 4 to 5, the wrathful archetypes. Now, the Bardo becomes the mirror of your unintegrated shadow. Every fear you've buried, every guilt you've denied, every hurt you've inflicted or refused to heal takes form, not metaphorically, literally. You may see demons, monsters, pursuers, torturers, but they are not there to punish you. They are you, fractals of your unprocessed mind. Carl Jung would say, these are your rejected archetypes, screaming to be acknowledged. And the more you fight them, the stronger they become. Because fear feeds illusion. Panic makes it real. But if you can pause, witness, and understand, they dissolve instantly. The Tibetans say the wrathful deities are but the guardians of truth. They do not attack, they reflect. And their violence only exists to the extent that your fear does. Week 6, the life review. Then comes the great mirror. Your entire life plays back, not as memory, but as total immersion. You feel every moment you cause joy or pain, not just from your perspective, but from the others. You become them. You feel the echo of your choices ripple outward. And there is no filter, no justification, no narrative, just truth. This is not judgment, it is self-realization. And in that moment, your next life is already forming. Because whatever you cannot release, whatever guilt, regret, longing you carry with you, that weight draws you to your next incarnation. Which brings us to the final moment. Week 7, the choice. By now, most souls are exhausted. Their clarity is dim. They are offered visions of familiarity, families, places, comforts, but these are bait, the final test. If the soul latches onto them, it is pulled into rebirth instantly, and the cycle begins again. But if it can remain still, aware, unattached, it breaks free. This is liberation, not a place, not a paradise, but a state of awakened clarity that transcends all illusion. So here's the hard truth. Most people never pass this test, not because they're evil, but because they were never told they'd be tested in the first place. And this is why the Bardo Thodol was hidden for so long, because once you know this, you can no longer live blindly. Now you understand. Death doesn't change you, it reveals you. And if you are not conscious in life, you will not be conscious in death. But what if this knowledge reached you not by accident, but by design? What if, in this very moment, you are being called to remember? In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the emotional terrain of this journey, into the moments that most souls collapse and the few begin to awaken. Because this isn't just information, it's initiation. Let's continue. Let me ask you something, not as a narrator, but as a fellow human being. Have you ever had a moment so quiet, so utterly still, that for a breathless second you felt like you were standing outside of time? Maybe it was holding the hand of someone you loved as they passed. Maybe it was watching your own child be born. Maybe it was waking from a dream that felt more real than the room you returned to. In these moments, something ancient stirs inside us. Not thought, not memory, but a knowing. A whisper from the part of us that does not age, that cannot die, the part that remembers. And if you felt that, then this chapter is for you. Because as we step deeper into the Bardo journey, the question is no longer theoretical, it's personal. So, who are you when everything is gone? When there's no name, no body, no mirror to check, no one to confirm your existence, just awareness. This is not just some distant idea from an ancient manuscript. Thousands, perhaps millions, have touched this truth and returned to tell the tale. We call them near-death experiences. And though modern medicine often dismisses them as neurological noise, the stories echo something eerily familiar, as if their souls walked the first steps of the Bardo and came back. The woman who saw her own funeral, let me tell you about Mary Neal, a spine surgeon who drowned while kayaking in Chile. Trapped under a waterfall for over 25 minutes, she was declared clinically dead. No pulse, no breath, no brain function. But Mary tells a different story. She describes being enveloped in light, not blinding but warm, and greeted by beings she knew she had never met, yet felt she had always loved. There was no time, no fear, only profound peace. She said, "I was more me than I had ever been." Later, she would recall being given a choice to stay or to return to her body, battered and broken. And the reason she chose to return? Because her young son would die in an accident soon, and her family would need her. That accident did happen. Years later, just as she was told. Was it prophecy, hallucination, or had she truly glimpsed the Bardo, the space between? Mary is not alone. Then there's Don Piper, a Baptist minister who was pronounced dead at the scene of a brutal car crash. For 90 minutes, his body lay under a tarp while paramedics worked around him. But Don claims he was not there. He was elsewhere, surrounded by light, music, and relatives long past. But what struck him wasn't the visuals, it was the clarity. He said everything made sense, everything had meaning, there was no confusion. It wasn't until another minister prayed over his body, an act of faith, not science, that Don returned, gasping violently. He wept, not from pain, but from loss. "I didn't want to come back," he said, "because what I left behind was more real than this." These are not isolated stories. The Journal of Near-Death Studies has cataloged thousands of cases over 4 decades, across cultures, ages, and belief systems. Whether Christian, Buddhist, atheist, or agnostic, the patterns repeat. A sense of leaving the body, a tunnel or transition space, a light or presence of overwhelming peace, a review of one's life felt, not shown, a choice or a sudden return. Science has tried to explain it away. Oxygen deprivation, neurotransmitters, trauma responses. But what science cannot explain is how these experiences transform people afterward. Many return with a deep fearlessness of death, a total reevaluation of their priorities, a clarity that feels like remembering, not learning, and an unshakable sense that consciousness is not confined to the brain. What's fascinating is this. None of these people were trained monks. None had studied the Bardo. Most had never heard of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And yet their stories align almost exactly with the manuscript stages. The clear light, the feelings of peace and weightlessness, the awareness of self but without body, the life review, the decision to return or not. So we must ask, how could an ancient text written in the caves of Tibet describe what people across the world are now experiencing under clinical observation? The answer may be this, because these are not cultural myths. They are primordial truths woven into the very fabric of human consciousness. And that means this journey is not foreign. It's already within us, waiting, watching, waiting for the moment when the veil thins and we remember. So let me ask you, gently but honestly, have you been running from something you already know? Maybe not with your thoughts, but in the silence, in dreams, in moments you can't explain. Have you ever felt like this life is a rehearsal? That there's something you're supposed to prepare for but don't know how? You're not alone. We all carry this faint ache, this knowing that we're here to remember something, but we get caught in the noise, in roles, in survival. And then one day, a diagnosis, a tragedy, a brush with death. And suddenly, we feel it, the stillness, the presence, the fear, or the freedom. The Tibetans never meant for the Book of the Dead to be scary. They meant it to be a mirror, because the only thing worse than death is dying without ever knowing who you truly were. Now ask yourself, if you had 49 days to walk through the mirror of your own mind, what would you see? Would you run? Would you recognize the illusions? Would you cling to stories, faces, regrets? Or would you let go and remember? This is why we tell these stories, not for fascination, but for preparation. Because you don't have to nearly die to begin waking up. You just have to be willing to see. And if you're still watching, still feeling this with me, then perhaps you've already begun. In the next chapter, we will step into the most terrifying part of this journey, not because it is evil, but because it shows us the part of ourselves we were never ready to meet, the shadow, The archetype, the wrathful mirror. You felt the pull. Now it's time to walk through the fire. Let's continue. There comes a point in every soul's journey, whether in life or in death, when running is no longer an option. The lights dim, the soft, radiant visions vanish. The warmth you clung to just moments ago begins to shift, and in its place, silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that echoes, that stares back, that breathes with you, even when you no longer breathe. This is the turning point. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, this stage is known as the karmic unfolding, a descent not into punishment, but into the full reflection of the unlived, unintegrated, and unforgiven aspects of self. And make no mistake, it is terrifying, not because it contains monsters, but because those monsters are you. Do you remember the peaceful visions we spoke of earlier? The angelic forms, the divine lights, the comforting voices? For most souls, that is as far as they get. They hesitate, they question. And hesitation in the Bardo is like oxygen to illusion. The moment you waver, when doubt or fear begins to cloud the clarity of the clear light, those radiant forms start to distort. The faces become unfamiliar. The light sharpens at the edges. Warmth gives way to cold neutrality. And then the transformations begin. What were once luminous beings of compassion now twist into wrathful, chaotic deities. Their eyes blaze, their hands multiply. Their voices become echoes of everything you've ever feared, now projected outward. The Tibetans call these beings herukas, not demons, but divine manifestations of the fierce wisdom of the mind. Their purpose is not to torment. Their purpose is to shock the soul into recognition, but only if the soul understands one devastating truth. None of this is real, unless you believe it is. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And here in the Bardo, that terror becomes embodied, because now the Bardo turns from vision to confrontation. You are not judged by some god on a throne. You are judged by every part of yourself you refuse to face while alive. The jealousy you suppressed, the resentment you justified, the selfishness you hid behind generosity, the wounds you never healed, the people you hurt but never apologized to, not aloud, not even in your heart. These don't vanish when your body does. They become form. In the Bardo, fear is gravity, guilt is architecture. The more you resist, the more solid the illusions become. The wrathful deities chase you, mock you, scream your regrets into your mind like thunder echoing inside a sealed chamber. But here's the paradox. The moment you stop running, they stop chasing, because they were never chasing you to begin with. They were chasing your awareness. For the few who have undergone deep initiations, Tibetan monks, yogic adepts, certain shamans, the teachings are clear. The wrathful visions are like a fire, not to consume, but to purify. If you can withstand the flames, if you can watch them rise and fall without flinching, you begin to realize nothing here can touch you, because nothing here is other. It's all you. And this is where the real liberation begins. Not through escape, but through recognition. This is the moment of integration. The Buddhists call it recognizing the mind's projections as mind itself. Jung called it shadow work. Modern neuroscience might call it a high-frequency feedback loop of trauma integration. Different words, same truth. But the truth is brutal. Most souls don't pass this test because it is too overwhelming, too real, too familiar. Imagine being submerged in a dream where your worst memories walk beside you, where your inner critic takes form and whispers in your ear, where every mistake, every betrayal, every scream you held in now screams back at you in languages only your soul understands. And you can't wake up, because this is the waking. For some, the pressure becomes too great. They fragment, they retreat, they seek comfort, any comfort. And in that moment of reaching, a new illusion is offered, a vision of family, a promise of love, a memory of earth. And so the cycle continues. But for a few, those who trained, those who surrendered, those who understand, the terror becomes teacher. They see the rage and do not recoil. They hear the screams and do not respond. They face the face of the Heruka and bow, not in submission, but in acknowledgement. And in that moment, the illusion dissolves like fog in sunlight. No fight, no drama, just silence and space, because the shadow only ever wanted to be seen. What about you? Now let me ask you, not as a storyteller, but as someone standing beside you at the edge of the mirror, if tonight were the night you stepped into the Bardo, would you recognize your projections, or would you run? Would you see your fears as creations or creators? Would you cling to familiar pain or let it burn? And most of all, would you be ready to meet yourself? Because the final truth of this chapter is this: hell is not a place. It is the refusal to face what we carry, and freedom is just on the other side of that refusal. Now, as the Bardo journey nears its final stages, the soul has been stripped bare. There are no more illusions to blame, no more demons to fear, just the lingering echo of what you have done and what you are willing to let go of. In the next chapter, the mirror becomes sharper because what comes next is the life review. Not a judgment, not a punishment, but the reliving of everything through every eye that ever saw you, every heart you ever touched, the most honest moment of all. We're almost there. Let's step forward. And now, after all the light, all the shadows, all the mirrors and the echoes, the soul stands in stillness, no longer running, no longer fighting, just being. But don't be fooled by the quiet, because this stillness is not peace. It is the eye of the storm, the final threshold. In the teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, this is called the Chunyi Bardo, the ultimate phase of the after-death journey. And it is here that one final decision must be made. Not consciously, not with words or thoughts, but with the frequency of your being. Because the Bardo doesn't listen to your intentions, it listens to your vibration. You've passed through the luminous realms, you've survived the terrifying illusions, you faced the mirror of your own actions and emotions, and now you float weightless, transparent, aware. You might think the hardest part is over, but in truth, the most subtle, seductive trap is just beginning. Because now, the illusions return, but not as monsters, not as demons or distorted faces. They return as memories, as warmth, as longing. You see the face of your mother, the hands of your child, the street where you grew up, the eyes of a lover you never truly said goodbye to. It's all here. The comfort, the familiarity. And in that moment, you feel the ache, the pull to return. You tell yourself it's love. You tell yourself it's unfinished business. But in truth, it is attachment. And in the Bardo, attachment is gravity. The Tibetans teach that rebirth is not a punishment, it is a choice. But here's the great irony. Most souls don't realize they're choosing. Because by now, the illusions are gentle. They no longer frighten you, they reassure you. You're shown a new mother's womb, a field of warmth, of potential, a life that will allow you to start over, and you think, maybe this time I'll do better. Maybe this time I'll remember. But the moment you reach toward it, the moment you identify with it, the wheel turns, the veil drops, and you are born again, with no memory of the test you just failed, with no awareness of the thousands of lifetimes before, only the faintest echo in your dreams and the ache of something forgotten. But not everyone returns. Some see through the veil. Some, even in the soft embrace of the final illusion, remain still, not resisting, not grasping, simply aware. They do not reject the memory. They do not push it away. They simply recognize, this is not the truth. This is the echo of my longing, and I am not my longing. And in that moment, the illusion dissolves. No thunder, no choir, just silence, stillness, and freedom. This is what the Tibetans call moksha, what the Buddhists name nirvana, what Carl Jung might have called individuation complete, the merging of the conscious and unconscious, no longer split, no longer seeking, a return, not to a place, but to pure awareness. And so the real test of the Bardo is not dramatic. It's not about fire or judgment. It is about stillness. It is about whether you have trained your mind in life to sit in the presence of longing without grasping. Because the final vision doesn't demand fear. It asks for gentle discernment. It invites compassionate clarity. But clarity only comes to those who have practiced it daily, in their heartbreak, in their solitude, in their mistakes. That is why the Tibetans say, to die well is to have lived well, and to live well is to be ready to die at any moment. Not because death is around the corner, but because death is always happening. Every breath is a small death, every release, a training for the final letting go. Let me ask you now, from one soul to another, if you were standing in that final space and a voice whispered to you, come back, they need you. Come back, you haven't finished. Come back, you haven't loved enough. Would you reach for it? Or would you recognize that love doesn't need possession? That service doesn't require reincarnation. That freedom is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to all. And maybe, just maybe, Your greatest act of love is to awaken now, so that when the final vision appears, you do not follow it, you bless it and walk on. The truth is, by the time you reach this final stage, the outcome has already begun to unfold. Because your death is not a single moment, it is a culmination, a reflection of how you've lived, not what you've achieved, not what you've believed, but how you've met each moment, with fear or with awareness, with clinging or with clarity. That's why the Tibetans taught not to prepare for death on your deathbed, but every day, with every thought, every pause, every surrender. Because the final test is subtle, and you will only pass if your soul knows what silence feels like. So now we are at the edge. We've walked the corridors of light and shadow, we've sat in the chambers of illusion, we've held the mirror to our soul, and soon, very soon, we must choose. Not just in theory, but in the life we return to after watching this, in the next decision we make, in the next breath we take, because rebirth doesn't just happen after death. It happens every time you forget who you are, and liberation, it begins the moment you remember. In the next and final chapter, we will ask the only question that still matters. Now that you know, what will you do with it? Let's finish this journey together. If you've made it this far, take a moment, not to rush forward, but to arrive fully, deeply right here. Because this wasn't just a video, it was a remembering of the part of you that has always known deep down that death is not the end, that your fear was never about dying, but about not having lived fully, that your longing for something more wasn't madness, it was memory. Throughout this journey, we haven't spoken merely of ancient texts or philosophies. We've spoken of you, of the soul behind the name, of the mind behind the masks, of the consciousness quietly watching, waiting, hoping you'd hear this. Because now you have. You've seen the mirror. You've walked the terrain of the Bardo, not with your feet, but with your awareness. And perhaps you've begun to understand that the test we call death has already begun. It begins every time you run from silence, every time you fear being alone, every time you grasp for meaning instead of being meaning. But now you see differently, because something ancient in you has stirred. And it's not asking you to become perfect. It's asking you to become present, to live in such a way that when death does come, whether in 60 years or 6 minutes, you will greet it not with terror, but with truth, not with resistance, but with recognition. Because here's the secret they never taught us. You don't prepare for death by fearing it. You prepare for death by living awake. You begin by noticing where your mind clings. You begin by softening into the moments you used to rush past. You begin by breathing not to control life, but to feel it. And when the old pain rises, when the shadow whispers, when the illusion returns, you don't run, you don't hide, you see. And that seeing, my friend, is the beginning of liberation. Maybe no one ever told you this before. Maybe the world taught you to numb, to distract, to obey, to chase, to forget. But your soul remembers. That's why you're still here. That's why this message found you now and not earlier, not later. Because some messages don't arrive until the soul is ready to hear them. And this is one of them. So if this journey has touched something in you, if it has stirred not just curiosity but clarity, then take this moment as a quiet vow, not to be someone else, not to fix everything, but to live just a little more awake than you did yesterday. To meet life and all its moments with the kind of awareness you'll one day need in death. To begin training for the final letting go by letting go of what no longer serves you now. Because death doesn't change you, it only reveals you. And that means this very moment is sacred. This very moment is the path. Before we close, I offer you this gentle invitation. If this message awakens something in you, let it echo forward. Share it with someone you love, not out of fear, but out of love. Leave a comment below and let me know, did something shift for you during this video? Type 1 if it did. Type 0 if you're still unsure, but you stayed. That alone matters. And if you're ready to go deeper, join me inside Insights Academy, our free space where we continue these conversations beyond what platforms allow. There, you'll receive the Keelan, a hidden book of wisdom preserved for centuries, just as powerful as the Bardo teachings. The link is in the description. Because your preparation does not end here, it begins here. And now, as we part ways for now, let me leave you with this. You were never just a body. You were never just a role or a story or a series of events. You are the awareness within all of it. And no matter how long you've been asleep, awakening is always one breath away. This is your moment. Breathe. Remember, begin again.